Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Big crowd tonight. We got a stripper. I'm going to tell you the story tonight of the time my dog attempted suicide. I looked out the other day to the bottom of my property and I saw my dog. He's a white dog. He's easy to spot. He's laying on a sandbank and he doesn't look good. He's not in any kind of dog-like configuration. He looks like a puddle. I'm going to completely ruin the suspense of this story, and I'm going to tell you that today he's doing fine. He's in the sunshine, he's taking a nap, his tummy's full of kibble, he's perfectly healthy. And I know that I have to interrupt my story to tell you this because I know about you dog lovers, and I know that you'll watch a movie where a human gets blown to shreds or tortured, but if there's a scene with a dog imperiled, you'll turn it off. I'm the same way, but don't turn this off. He's fine. So I walked down to the bottom of the field to see what's wrong with him, and at 10 yards I can tell he's still breathing. But he's not breathing like a normal dog. He's breathing like a 2-year-old with an accordion. When I get all the way up to him, I see that he's got grass and yard bits stuck in the little pink droopy parts of his lips, and that his nose is warm and dry. Now, I'm not a student of the veterinary sciences, but I do know that if a dog's nose is warm and dry, it's a no bueno situation. And not only is it warm and dry, it's like coated in dust. I don't know how he's getting any oxygen. It's just coated in dust. So I reach down and I rip off a piece of grass from his lips, and this is the first he's noticed that I'm there. And his tail goes thump, thump, thump. So I try and think, what could be wrong with this dog? He was perfectly healthy the last time I saw him. What could have happened? So I'm rolling the tapes back, trying to review what's going on. And I think I might know what's happened. I have 2 dogs. Ginger is a coonhound. She's white with red spots. She's got long velvet ears and a droopy face. And Wedo is our old white pit bull. And yes, his name is a racial slur. We'd been taking care of Wedo for a while, but we officially inherited him when his human dad died a few weeks ago. Ginger and Wedo love each other. They're best friends. They spend all of their time together. We call them boyfriend and girlfriend. But the other day, a sassy little red long-haired chihuahua that comes to our property, she cuts to the property with her human dad to go get the mail. She was in heat. So I looked out the kitchen window and I saw Wedo, and he was on top of this little chihuahua, and he was earnestly trying to make a baby. And I'm going to interrupt my story here to tell you that Wedo is snipped, so there was no need to go get the hose. But about 8 feet away from this scene, Ginger was sitting there. She sits this weird way with her front paws like parallel to her back paws, and she was just staring at the ground. She was very unhappy about this turn of events. She was quite snippy with Wedo, and they usually sleep on the couch together, but he has been literally sent to the doghouse. He now sleeps in the dog loo. So I said, okay, I know what happened. Ginger poisoned Wedo. I listen to the podcast Dateline all the time when I'm doing chores, so I'm pretty familiar with this situation. If there's a philandering husband, he gets poisoned by the wife. I think Ginger poisoned Wedo. But before I throw her on the clink, I'm trying to think, well, if there's something else it might be. Something comes to mind, and that's that 3 weeks ago, his dad died. This is a genuinely sad story, so I'm just going to skip over it, but we had gone to visit his wife and children to pay our respects, and they weren't home. They were visiting family, but we brought Wedo, because it's his house. And we brought Wedo, and he spent the whole time with his nose to the ground, gathering doggy intel. And when we left, I just knew that he knew that his family was gone, but that his dad wasn't going to come back. So I thought, okay, this is it. He's dying of heartbreak. I know that this is scientifically possible. This is the reason that couples who have been together for 60 years, when one spouse dies, the next spouse, hours or days later also dies. It's like instant heart disease. They're literally heartbroken. So maybe Wedo is dying of a broken heart. But I think, okay, that was actually 3 weeks ago, and this seems rather acute. Maybe it's something else. So I'm thinking more recently. I'm thinking, in fact, of the day before, when I had put a leash on Wedo because I was trying to train him to guard our chickens. Every day in the afternoon, we let our chickens out to free range on the property, and it's sort of an anxious time for us. We have to protect them from dogs and from coyotes and from hawks, and I thought it would be great if we could train Wedo to help out. When we had first inherited him, I'd Googled to see what a pit bull is good for. I know what a coonhound is good for. I didn't even know that we had raccoons until we got Ginger, and now every couple of weeks, Ginger loses her mind at the base of a tree, and I run out, and she's got her paws up the trunk, and when I look up, there's a raccoon up there. Ginger's a coonhound, she hounds coons. So I wanted to know, what does it mean to bull pits? I Googled, and I find out a pit bull is a nanny dog. They used to be put in charge of children. If this surprises you, because you tend to think of pit bulls as the animals that rip off people's faces while the families are hugging him and saying he's so sweet, well, it's completely true. Pit bulls are completely sweet to their families, and it may surprise you to know that a chicken and a pit bull could ever coexist, but Wedo gets along great with the chickens. He gets along better with the chickens than Ginger does. I think Wedo knew if he was going to hang with us, he's going to have to be nice to the chickens. Ginger, she has a bulbous chest. She's prone to a plight called bloat, where the dog's stomachs rotate 180 or 360 degrees, and it pinches off the top and bottom, and they can die if you don't get it unrotated. And one of the things that causes this is eating too fast. But we don't have to worry about Ginger because she is a very controlled eater. When we put down her plate of kibble in the morning, she eats exactly half of it. And we know that it's half of it because she only eats from one side of the plate. And then in the afternoon, she needs a snack, and she eats another quarter, and then before bed, she eats that last pie slice. It's amazing. Ginger's an amazing dog. So she's very controlled. When I let my chickens out, there's nothing in the world that my chickens love more than dog kibble. So it is a mad dash for them to run to the plates. And it's a 50-50 likelihood that I've completely forgotten to pick up Ginger's dog food. If that's the case, I don't know if you've ever seen a chicken eat, but they peck the ground, and then they step on their food, and they kick their feet. So they peck, and they step. It's a great thing to do if you're digging in dirt, less so if you're trying to eat a plate of kibble. So they come, and they just spread the kibble everywhere, and it just drives Ginger crazy. She barks at them, she lunges at them, she sends chickens flying through the air. But not Wedo. Wedo is very calm around the chickens. I've seen Wedo chase a squirrel. He runs, his ears bounce. When he gets close to the chickens, he slows down to a walk. And then when he gets past the chickens, he runs again. I've seen a chicken eat a kibble from between Wedo's paws. He was laying like the Sphinx, and there was some forgotten fur-covered kibble between his paws. And the chicken saw it, and she looked at him. She looked at the kibble, and she pecked it. And Wedo, not only did he not bite her head off, but he had the manners to look away so she wouldn't be afraid while she did it. So you can see why I thought Wedo would make an excellent guard dog. And before you think this is too much work for an old dog, let me just say the chickens make this very predictable counterclockwise tour of the property. It takes about 2 hours, and if you're a tactical dog, you probably would only have to move 4 times. Hillside, hillside, hillside. So it wasn't too much work for Wedo. And let me just say, he's 75% of the way there. He basically hangs out with the chickens while they're out anyway, because they're interesting, because we're hanging out with them, because what else is the guy going to do? But sometimes he sleeps, and sometimes the chickens get under the fence and cross the road. And yes, I don't know why it's true, but chickens do like to cross the road. And he won't tell us, and so we don't know where the chickens are, and we have to go find them in the highway. So, and no chickens were harmed. They have never been run over, so don't worry, animal lovers. So we're trying to train him. I put the leash on him. The chickens would move. We would move. I would say, chickens. I'd pet him and tell him what a good boy he is. We'd move with the chickens, pet him, tell him what a good boy he was. Not a big deal. We were sitting in the shade. We're basically chilling together. But as soon as I took that leash off of him, he ran. He just bolted like I've been beating him with a broom. So I think, okay, I know what happened. He's committed suicide. He swallowed a bunch of pills. Now he's waiting for the sweet release of death so he doesn't have to guard the chickens this afternoon. Well, whether it's murder, whether it's a heartbreak, or whether it's suicide, there's something very wrong with this dog. So I pick up his head and I put it in my lap, and I'm stroking his scruff, and I tell him, "Don't worry, Wedo. Ginger's gonna get over it. You're gonna get back to the couch." I tell him, "Your dad's looking over you, and we're gonna take care of you for the rest of your life." And I tell him, and this is important, you don't have to watch the chickens if you don't want to. So that night he won't eat anything, not even his favorite treats. He won't drink water. And when we go for the dog walk, he tries to stand up, but he can't, and he lays back down, and it's just heartbreaking. That night he goes to bed early in his dog glue. I wrap him up in blankets, and I tell him what a good dog he's been, and I think that that's going to be it. I think he's going to die in the nighttime. And so, of course, that night I can't sleep at all. I'm thinking of him just down in the dog glue, dying away, and I'm trying to think practically what will it be like to get a stiff, dead dog wrapped in blankets out of the dog glue. Will we be able to cremate him, or will we have to dig a big hole? Practical stuff. And early in the morning, I come downstairs, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to find a dead dog. But before I can squat down to look into the dog glue, I hear thump, thump, thump. His tail's wagging in the dog glue. And he comes out, and he gets a drink of water, and he's fine. He's not perfect, but he's fine. Later that day, my husband finds just an epic lake of vomit in our yard. And so he thinks he knows what happens. He thinks that Wedo ate something putrid, and he got food poisoning, and now he's better. But I know better. I know that Wedo heard me say that he did not have to take care of those chickens. And so when I wasn't looking, he stuck his paw down his throat, and he threw up those pills. Thank you very much. The magic of the green screen. Audience members. No audience members. Audience members. No audience members.